Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Yesterday, in estimates with the Transportation Minister, we learned, unfortunately, that promises that were made by the Liberal government during the campaign are not actually promises at all regarding transportation to Ontario communities, but simply possibilities. And apparently, the dedicated transit funding that we also heard promises about means a multi-billion-dollar transit loophole. We were promised dedicated transit funding, but there's nothing dedicated about it, Mr. Speaker, because there's no legislation and there's no regulation. So if dedicated revenue doesn't actually mean anything is dedicated, how does the Premier define, quote unquote, dedicated transit funding?
Thank you, Premier.
Minister of Transportation.
Minister of Transportation.
Thanks very much, Speaker. I hope folks will understand I'm a little bit under the weather this morning, so my voice doesn't sound as it normally does. I think it's unfortunate that the member who's asking us this question today wasn't paying close enough attention to the discussion, the really wonderful discussion that we had at estimates yesterday. As I've said many times, both yesterday at committee and in this legislature, we have an ambitious plan to move forward with investing $29 billion over the next decade in crucial public transit and transportation infrastructure. And just yesterday, in fact, the Minister of Finance responded to a question in this House by making it very clear that the funding that needs to be in place for us to deliver these positive results for the people of Ontario is in place by virtue of not only our campaign commitments, but the passage of the budget earlier this year. Speaker, I would ask the member opposite to work with us. I know the people of her community want to see these positive results, and we will make it happen. Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sadly, I was paying attention, and I heard that the Niagara Rail project may not happen, that Scarborough's just a pipe dream, that Hamilton may not happen. That's what I heard. They like to claim that they're dedicated to transit, this government, Mr. Speaker, but of course the fact is that transit revenue isn't dedicated at all. So how can the Premier actually expect anyone to take their dedication to transit seriously? Will the Premier, it's a direct question, will the Premier promise Ontarians today and show her commitment to transit by bringing in legislation and regulations that ensure dedicated transit funding actually goes into transit?
Thank you, Minister.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm really happy to have the chance to answer this question. It's unfortunate, again, that the member who's posing the question is choosing to hear, I suspect, what she wants to hear around this. When I think the people of her community, the people of the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, and the people of Ontario want us to get past these kinds of games, the semantics, this notion of parsing words, and they actually want to see us deliver results. She asked yesterday at committee, Speaker, whether or not we can trust what we're doing as a government, what we propose to do. What I said back to that member of committee, and I will repeat here today, is that what I have trust in, Speaker, is the people of Ontario. And on June the 12th, they gave this Premier and this government the mandate to invest $29 billion over the next 10 years. I trust them, they've entrusted us, and we're going to get the job done.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What the people of Ontario heard was the Liberals promising dedicated transit funding, and the promised Trillium Trust would hold that money. That's what they heard. But there's absolutely no guarantee that even a nickel will make it into the Trillium Trust. Will the Premier, I ask again, promise Ontarians today and show her commitment to transit by bringing in legislation and regulations that ensures dedicated transit funding actually goes into transit?
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I had the privilege of introducing a budget, not once, but twice. I gave the opportunity for the members opposite to appreciate what it is we're doing. We are putting forward 29...
Okay. Thank you. Finish, please.
And in the book, and the following discussions that we've had since, even with the public who went forward and read this book, probably more so than the opposition by all accounts, we talk about establishing a Trillium Trust, which would be the funnel to forward and put forward all the funds and revenues and excesses that we do from those assets to be put in that trust. As well, we've dedicated certain portions of our gas tax to transit. And Mr. Speaker, what is important to note is we are building transit the Minister of Transportation, this government is making the necessary investments.
Thank you.
And we're funding it through the Trillium Trust and other means. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.